Good afternoon and welcome to my Harlem Portraits. I'm Maria Cabenaghi and I'm your host. As you know, our show is about Black excellence in every field. We talk about art, we talk about politics, civil rights movements, science, just to show the importance and fundamental contribution that African Americans have given to this country. For this, today we have an amazing director, a native of Louisiana. He's an actor, a director, and quickly ascended as one of Los Angeles' premier playwrights, earning more than 60 nominations and awards for his work since 2000. He has spent more than 2 decades writing, directing, and developing stage plays and films. They reflect a wide range of African American cultural movements, and he has also created a conversational dialogue in his work and a new way of looking at history from the African American perspective. He has also directed many award-winning plays, such as Raisin in the Sun, A Soldier's Play, The Crucible, for colored girls who have considered suicide when the rainbow is enough, and many more. But not only is he a versatile and talented artist, but is also a very successful entrepreneur. In fact, in 2004, he created the Los Angeles African American Repertory Company. And he also created Monday Monologues, which was a platform for unknown actors to showcase their talents to the industry. Nowadays, he is the owner of his own production company, no less than LAYON GRAY Enterprises. Welcome, LAYON GRAY, with us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for giving us your time.
Of course.
So, tell us a little bit more about this production company, because it's not only a theater company, but it's also a film company, right?
Yes, LAYON GRAY Enterprises is the umbrella for the LAYON GRAY American Theater Company, as well as Dorothy Spellman Films. So what it does, we also do film, we do theater as well. So this sits up top.
And you do your productions, you develop your own stories that you write because you are a playwright and so on. So it's economically a very viable way for an artist to sustain himself and the people around him, the people that you employ.
Yeah, I got tired a long time ago of waiting on people to give me opportunities. You know, as a writer, you'll send out your script and you'll hope a theater company will want to do your show. So I have a pile of no's, and I said, you know what, I'm not going to deal with that anymore. So I decided to create my own company, do my own fundraising to present my own shows. This was back in 2000 when I first started doing my own pieces, and one of my shows ended up being a success. And that's what kind of like leaped me into producing, directing, and funding my own pieces from then on.
Which is very, very smart. So this is an idea to give to other artists.
Oh yeah, because you know as a writer you'll get so many no's, and you'll get just a small amount of yeses. So you as an artist, you got to decide if you want to let someone else define your future, or if you want to take a hold of the horns and ride it and create your own way of doing your own things.
Fantastic. You, from the subject that you are very interested about are historical pieces.
Yes.
And particular historical pieces which have a foundation and tell the story of African Americans in this country. And your passion for history, it's come through all your work since the very beginning. When you started in 2003, your first play was Meet Me at the Oak. this took Los Angeles by storm. You played this play for 6 months, and it was always sold out, right?
It was sold out. That's an interesting, because that was the first play that I ever wrote, like, you know, when I was talking about just taking by the horns and doing it myself, raising the money to do that. Interesting story, I'll make it quick. I had an opportunity, it was either pay the rent on my apartment or pay the rent on the theater. You know, I said, you know what, I'm gonna take my chances on this little particular play. And the first 2 shows, maybe 3 or 4 people came. Then the third show, more people started coming. Then the second week, sold out. Next week, sold out. It just sold out quickly. So the word of mouth got around about this particular play, you know. And it's set in Louisiana about my family's history set in the 1950s. So that play is very, very dear to my heart.
Tell us just a little bit about it.
Well, the play centers around a hanging tree. The tree was used during slavery to hang slaves, and fast forward to 1955, one of the family members they've moved into this house, and this tree is on their land, and a white family moves next door. 2 little girls they befriended each other, white little girl, black little girl. Innocent friendship, and the little white girl falls from the tree and dies. So now the white family, of course, say they want the tree to be chopped down. They come to find out when they do a measurement of the tree, half of the tree is on the white family's land. So they say they immediately want to chop this tree down, but the black family don't because of its history. A lot of their ancestors were hung from it. And they would meet every 3rd Sunday of the month to reminisce and pay homage to all of the slaves who were hung from it. So it was a powerful, powerful piece that everyone in LA just really, really flocked to see.
Fantastic. So you started, made a bet on that.
Yeah.
The place I'm living in, or my theater, and you won that bet.
Yeah,
definitely.
you know, sometimes you got to just jump off the cliff and see if the parachute opens.
That's right. So that was in 2003, and then and it won a lot of awards. It won the Best Play, Best Writer, Best Director in the Los Angeles Media Awards.
Yes.
All right. Then 2006. You wrote this and performed this, The Girls of Summer, which won the NAACP Award for Best Play, and in 2011, it won the National Black Theater Festival Main Stage Selection. It wasn't that. You also made a revisited version of that called All American Girls, which was playing at the Actors Temple, that if I am not mistaken, is like your home when you are in New York?
It is. It's where I do all my shows right off Broadway, where I workshop things and get them done before we tour them.
Exactly. So tell me a little bit about this Girls of Summer and All American Girls. What is that about?
The Girls of Summer, All American Girls, it's about an all-black female baseball team set during the 1940s. A lot of people didn't know black women played baseball in the 40s. And a lot of them played with the Negro Leagues. 3 or 4 of them played. So I knew I wanted...
With the men, Negro
With the
League?
men, yeah. A lot of people didn't know that. So I knew I wanted to create a story with those women implemented into the piece. So that's when I started going back and doing research to find out more information about these women that came up with this fictional story. What I like to do is I like to create historical fiction. What I mean by that is taking real people, real events, and creating my own story around it. So with that being said, the whole play, the premise is it's centered around this hard-nosed coach, and she's trying to put this team together to play an exhibition game against the winners of the all-white team of the All-American Girls League. If you remember the movie A League of Their Own?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So it was about this black team wanting to play an exhibition game against them. So the whole play is about this hard-nosed, tough coach getting these young African-American girls ready to play.
Wow.
It's one of my favorite shows.
Are you going to have it play again soon?
Maybe. We'll see. It's more of a summer-type piece.
All right.
Yeah.
Then after that, we go to Kings of Harlem. This is inspired by the true story of this team, basketball team, during the Harlem Renaissance, and that's why they are abbreviated by the Rens,
Yeah.
right? And tell me about this, because this is also a very, very interesting story.
Another part of our history that a lot of people don't know about. The Harlem Wrens, they were called the Harlem Renaissance Wrens. They were an all-black basketball team that played in Harlem at the Renaissance Ballroom. It's not there anymore. It was actually bulldozed to the ground in 2015. People were trying to save, they called it the Rennie. You know, it's one of those places that people really, really want to save because of that. Back in the day, everybody used to go there. Duke Ellington, everyone would go to the Renaissance. What they would do is they would play, the basketball game would play, and at halftime, Duke Ellington, Ella Fitzgerald, they would all sing at halftime.
Fantastic.
All this happened in Harlem.
Can you imagine?
Yes, exactly. And no one knew about this team who would actually go on to win the first basketball championship. So if we look at the NBA today, and they go to the World Championship, the NBA championship, this black team won the very first one, and no one knows about it. And I use that as a tool to tell the journey of these men throughout the story of it.
And how did you find out about that?
I find stories researching for other stories. Like, for example, researching for the African-American female baseball players from the 30s and 40s, I'll stumble upon something else, and what I do is I'll table it. Like, I tabled this story maybe like 10, 15 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I found it. And I said, when time is right, I'll go back to revisit it and write it. And in 2012 or 13, 14, I can't remember the date, but that's when I found me saying, table this and write it later. And I said, okay, it's time to put this to paper.
That is so interesting.
Yeah.
And you performed this play, right, during an NBA All-Star?
Yes, this particular play, Kings of Harlem, is so different. It's so unique because I use the basketball as African rhythms when they're dribbling. So they make these movements and stuff. It's a very, very unique play. It went on to win Best Play, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Ensemble when I took it to Miami 2 years ago. And we had an opportunity to perform the show during NBA All-Star Weekend. So you had all of these veteran alumni members come and see this play, because everyone had heard about the Wrens, the NBA players, but no one had actually heard the story. So we got an opportunity to do that, so it was great.
That is amazing also because these players, they were called the Big Five, right?
The Big Five, yeah.
They were never officially accepted professionally, right? But they became the most successful basketball. That is pretty amazing. And in the cast, you had some really amazing people playing the different. Tell us about them.
Well, like I said, I have my theater company, and I mostly always use all my same actors for my company because they know my style of writing. I know their ability, and sometimes I'll write characters based on their ability. So I have about 12 actors that I just constantly use over and over and over again. And it's beautiful, you know, as a writer. Like I said, we know each other. They know my style, I know their style.
It's a fantastic thing. It's like a big family.
Oh, it is. And, you know, and it defeats the purpose of having a workshop and do readings of the piece because you have the people who you know and trust right in front of you who can give you that honest feedback. Like, you know, Leon, well, that line kind of sucked. And you think about, okay, well, let me tweak it and stuff. So we have that open type of relationship where I listen to what they say. Sometimes it's good stuff, sometimes it's a bunch of crap. So you take the good with the bad, you know. So
you have to take it.
Exactly.
Just you weigh what you want to use.
Exactly. And in the middle of that, you find your own truth and the way you want to go with it.
Beautiful. Well, I heard from people who work with you that you are fantastic to work with.
Well,
as
Thank you.
different from others who are impossible to work with?
Well, you know, coming from acting, you know, because I started as an actor when I moved to LA from Louisiana, I understand actors, I understand the plight, I understand allowing them the time and the freedom to self-discover instead of me saying, you stay here, you do it like this, you say it like this. I don't work that way. I let the actors discover and find it themselves. And in the midst of that, we come together to create the best work. Because if you don't trust the actors and they don't trust you, you're not going to have a great product.
All right, fantastic. Then we arrived to 2018, and here we're going to talk about women heroines. And you created Black Sparta, which follows this all-women military infantry of the Dahomey Amazons, who are taking on the French colonization army in the late 1800s, right? That is an amazing story. And one of the main characters is Asha Kendrick. She's actually an amazing actress that is Harlemite. She comes from Harlem, so I know her very well. And when I saw Black Sparta and I saw she was the main character, I said, yes, it's absolutely her. And she said that she felt amazing. She loved playing this character because for the first time, African descent, real heroine, was depicted instead of comic books or like Wonder Woman and Xen and so on, fictional figures, but a figure of someone who really existed and who has African descent. So tell us a little bit about this piece.
Black Sparta was a very, very special piece, and a lot of people ask me, Leon, why'd you name it Black Sparta? And that's what they were called back then. One reporter, he went and saw these amazing women protecting the king, not men. Women, it's funny because they said the men would run, but these women would stand strong and protect the king. And one reporter said it's like a Black Sparta. This was in the early 1800s. And I said, wow, that'd be an incredible title to label these, to name the play that. And Isa, you know, the character she's the commander, she's the leader of the Dahomey warriors, who were an all-female regiment back in the day. The only all-female regiment in history that protected the king. And we were having so much trouble trying to cast this part. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to cancel this play, because we were opening like in about 3.5 weeks, and I couldn't find, we had about maybe 80 actors audition, and they just wasn't bringing. Then Isa walked in with the mohawk, and I was like, okay. She got the look I want. I'm like, God, please let her be able to act. Please let her be able to act. And as soon as she opened her mouth, it was done. I'm like, make sure you get her before she leave and tell her she's cast. And when she brought to that role, you know, to just having that pride, to defend your home, to defend your name. You know, the French come in wanting to take over your land, and she's standing strong saying, you know, we have to stand, whether we die, we have to protect our land. And she just
She killed it.
Beyond,
and killed the French.
Yeah.
At the same time.
At the same time.
So Black Sparta was another great success. You also played Black Sparta at the National Black Theater Festival?
Yeah, we took it there as well, yeah. Sold out. Everyone came to see it. Beautiful, beautiful show. Everyone keep asking when I'm going to bring it back, so we'll see.
Maybe you should do a revival of all your shows. You know, the main shows like The Kings of Ireland, Black Sparta. Do a revival, do maybe a couple of months of revival of all your shows. That could be a good idea.
Put them all in rep, yeah. June, July. That's a good thought.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
See?
Maybe next year, maybe.
And we come to Cowboy, which is the last of the series. It also had his debut at the Black National Theatre Festival this year.
Yes.
And then it was considered fantastic. It had raving reviews. It was also sold out all the time. And so you were booked to go to Pittsburgh, to the Horizon Theater in Pittsburgh. And that kicked off their 2019-2020 season, right, in November. So tell me, what is Cowboy based about, and why did you think about writing this play, which is a different thing from what you usually do?
It is. You know, Cowboy is about Bass Reeves. He's the first black U.S. Deputy Marshal in history, and I knew I always wanted to write a cowboy piece. I didn't know what it would be about. I always wanted to act in a cowboy play, and when I wrote, because the version we saw was the second version. I wrote a version in about a week and a half, just writing, and I was in it. I wrote a character for myself. So all the actors came and we read it, and I was like, I don't like it. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna throw this script away and start it all the way over. And then my character, as I was writing a new script, my character wasn't moving the story. So unfortunately, I had to cut myself out, which hurt, but I'm like, you know what? It's what's best.
That's courage.
Yeah, yeah, especially when I'm the writer, director, and the boss. You know, I'm like, but it wasn't moving the story, so I cut it out.
And why wasn't it moving the story?
The old version, it did, but the new version I was going, which more of a historical base from where Bass Reeves came from being a free slave, to going and fighting with the Indians, to coming back, to going out searching and hunting down wanted criminals, mostly white. You know, here comes this big black man, you know, looking for white criminals. So my character was more of a comedic, and it just wasn't moving, so I had to let it go. And interesting enough, everyone was really interested in the Bass Reeves stories because it's like people knew about him, but no one had never actually seen him on stage, on film. So when it was announced we were going to debut it at the National Black Theatre Festival, immediately tickets were going in like 2 days once they went on. I mean, people were sneaking in to try to see this show, and the seats weren't assigned, so people had bought seats. When they came, their seats were taken because people had snuck in to try to get to, they had to add more seats, and the same thing for Pittsburgh. So it was a beautiful experience, and as I'm developing it into a feature film now, as we speak.
That is fantastic. I wanted to talk about movies also, but the time is gone so fast, I can't believe it. So, and we haven't come to the Black Angels over Tuskegee, which is really your signature piece, because you wrote it and played it for the first time about 10 years ago, and then you have been playing it and putting it on all over the place, in the U.S. and abroad. And in New York, it was on Off Broadway for a long, long time, right? So tell me about this, because I saw it and it's fantastic, but I saw it many years ago. I want to see it again now, because I know it changes all the time.
Yeah, it's tweaked a bit. Well, Black Angels over Tuskegee is the story of the Tuskegee Airmen, who were the first black aviators of World War II. And to make a long story short, when I was living in LA, I was watching television and I saw these guys winning the receiving the Congressional Medal of Honor from President Bush. And I was so moved by these men in their 80s, at the time 90s. And I told my friend I wanted to write a play about them. And he said, well, that's an actual Tuskegee Airman who lives right next to him. I was like, what? So I had the opportunity to interview this gentleman. And the thing he talked about was the brotherhood that he created. He didn't talk about all the medals they won, the friends that died. So I knew I wanted to go at that angle in telling his story. So I wrote it, put it up in LA. It was a hit. Everyone wanted to see it. So people said, you know what, Larry, you should take it to New York City. I'm like, well, New York theater is super expensive. So we raised enough money to do a 2-week run in New York, Off Broadway. And we put it up. We did guerrilla marketing, went in Times Square, put on our uniforms, really hustling, because we couldn't afford major marketing. Hustling, passing out flyers, and first week sold out. By the 7th show, we made all that money back. It's like $35,000, made it all back. And that 2 weeks has now turned into 10 years.
That's
and it's
amazing.
still running.
It is amazing.
Still running. People come.
And I know that you had different actors playing the different roles.
Yeah.
I know, for example, Tobias Truvillion, who also played in
Yeah.
a couple of TVs.
Tobias, yeah, because when we went from LA, all these guys were married. So when it got extended, the wives were saying, you guys got to come home. So I had to cast New York guy. So Tobias came in. Oh, a lot of people have come through the store. Lamar Rucker has been in this show. Who's from Tyler Perry movie. So we've had a slew of actors try to, I always say we can never walk in their footsteps, but we could put on the boots and just go through the journey.
Absolutely.
Acting of what these men went through.
And what is amazing about this airmen is that as veterans, when they come back home, then they are really not recognized for the incredible things that they did. And we are really at the end, but I know that you also found a movie, an old movie about the women in the 40s that talked about their men going to Tuskegee. Are you going to do a movie about that?
I should, because people keep asking me about that. So I definitely should. That was called Letters of Tuskegee, about women who loved ones that went off to fight, and they're talking into a movie camera for the first time. So that's something definitely I should dip into. You just brought that back to my mind. I should definitely look at that.
Oh,
yeah.
I saw it, and it's amazing.
Thank you.
We have to close. I'm so upset, so you have to come back.
Of course,
because there is
anytime.
more to talk about. You have so much to tell us. We haven't talked about your movies and so on. So thank you for being with us, and thank you for being with us for another episode of My Harlem Portraits. See you next Saturday, same time. Bye-bye.